What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got some football focus. The Pittsburgh Steelers just finished their Week 4 matchup of the 2025 NFL season, both at home and on the road, so to speak, going to Ireland for a 9:30 a.m. game. Let's get this out of the way quickly. Let's tackle the elephant in the room, as it is the first time Pittsburgh has dealt with the overseas travel things. I don't like these 9:30 in the morning games. Of course, I'm a little cranky and tired. I shot a film this weekend. My body hurts. But the idea is, I know the big positive. It's cool for Ireland to get a live game. I've been to many live games. I enjoy them. This is a new experience for Dublin, for going overseas, for doing international games. Cool for them to see a live game, but it is really inconvenient to have these time change, long travel kind of games. It's inconvenient for the fans who have to interrupt their schedule that they normally have on Sundays. They might want to go out to breakfast with their family, or go to church, or sleep in, or do yard work, catch up on house things. This is not convenient for us. It's not convenient for the players who are interrupting their schedule and their practices, and the extra travel for them too. So I shouldn't really complain. It's pointless. The NFL is going to keep doing it anyway. It's going to get worse and worse because they're making a ton of money on it. There were 70-something thousand people in the stands today. So the NFL is going to keep getting greedier and greedier and just lining their own pockets. But they are the only ones, aside from the live audience, the live in-person audience, that benefits from this, to be honest. And while we're at it, I'll just say the same thing. I don't like the Saturday games toward the end of the season. I don't like the second Monday night games in the first few weeks of the season. I don't like the Black Friday games and the Christmas Day games. Let's stop doing all this, guys. Again, I know it's a greedy NFL thing, but I'm totally fine with Sundays having the 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and primetime game, the Monday primetime game, even the Thursday one if you got to keep it. They usually stink anyway, but if you got to keep it, you got to keep it. But we're getting crazy now with Black Friday and all holidays, and they're freaking these early games now. I hate it. It's inconvenient. Anyway, back to the game now. They're not going to change anything. Pittsburgh does escape Dublin, which feels like a home game because it was like 70-30. Steeler fans, lots of terrible towels, lots of green terrible towels, Steeler chants, Renegade, Steeler songs. I felt very at home with this pretty cool crowd today. Pittsburgh gets the win 24-21. This was a pretty Pittsburgh-dominated game. A game that leaves us with a lot of positives, and a game that feels like a much better win than last week's win against the Patriots. That being said, it was still a rough second half and gives us a lot to have to improve on too. But we do go into the bye week now 3-1, having beaten the Vikings coming in. They came in at 2-1 today, had their backup quarterback out there in Carson Wentz, had Jordan Mason out there as the backup running back with Aaron Jones being hurt. That being said, Carson Wentz is about as good as McCarthy is right now, and Jordan Mason is one of the best backup running backs in the league. What did benefit us, though, was Minnesota getting a lot of offensive linemen hurt. They came in with, I think, one injury and got two more throughout the game today, so playing against kind of a makeshift line for the Vikings really benefited us in both pass blocking and especially in run blocking. We'll talk about it, but Pittsburgh basically goes up, has a rough first drive, not very good on offense on the first drive, and then Minnesota comes down and gets 3, and it looks like it's going to be a rough game for us again. Then all of a sudden, Pittsburgh starts to control the clock. They wind up getting some good short passes, taking a few shots downfield, making them work for ourselves, but really using a rudimentary offense to control the clock, finding the run game once Minnesota got more banged up, using the combination of short passing and the run game to control the clock and get some scores. Pittsburgh goes up 24-6 into the start of the fourth quarter, and then the defense takes their foot off the gas, just kind of relaxes. I would have liked to have pitched a touchdown shutout today and been a 6-point only defensive effort. All of a sudden, the defense kind of falls asleep, gives some big plays up. We get a bunch of injuries ourselves in the secondary. Lots of guys start getting hurt for us. At one point, Darius Slay went out, but then came back. Jalen Ramsey went out and came back and might have gone out again. I don't know. I think he played at the end of the game, but he was in and out in the second half. Calvin Austin on offense went out and did not return. We'll have to see what happens there. We had a lot of backups in there. Corey Trice played a tiny bit. James Pierre played a lot. With that, Pittsburgh does allow Minnesota to come back in and score 15 straight points, touchdown, 2-point conversion touchdown, and get back into a 24-21 game where, of course, in a game where we only allowed 6 points into the fourth quarter, we still managed to have to survive a heart-pounding game at the very end where we get a stop on fourth down to hold them off with good defensive pressure. So, again, lots of positives and lots of negatives. Let's talk about it. Aaron Rodgers, 18 for 22, only 4 incompletions all game, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. The touchdown goes to DK Metcalf on an 80-yarder, the best play of the day for the Pittsburgh offense. Rodgers throws a nice middle of the field slant. DK Metcalf catches, gets in behind around the corner and past the safety, gets a good angle and outspeeds the guys to the pylon, gets an 80-yard play. It was about a 15 to 20-yard pass. DK takes it 80 yards for the touchdown. That was our only big play of the day. We did have one other nice 20-yard go ball. It was a one-on-one where DK did a stutter step, got to the outside, got a step, and got over the defender for a clean catch. Those were our only two big plays over 15 yards again the entire day. So while the numbers look clean, 18 for 22 for 200 yards, they're not bad numbers, but 18 completions for 200 yards once again is not great. We still are a rudimentary offense. In the second half, we played prevent offense essentially. We just allowed ourselves to run the ball and dump things off, and that was it. There was one series where we threw a 2-yard pass and we needed 5 yards. There was another series we were on 4th and goal. They decided to go for it, which was a decent call, but then tried to run the ball from 5 or 6 yards out. So just too conservative for me. While this offense did improve this week and had a few big plays from DK, that was essentially it. DK had 2 big plays, and then the running game was what paced us, thank God, today. But Rodgers not taking enough shots down the field. When you got guys as big as Darnell and DK and guys as fast as Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson, who you're not using at all, you got to take more shots downfield. This was a clean game, no turnovers, no really negative plays, but still too conservative and didn't put the game away in the second half. When the defense started getting hurt, the offense also took their foot off the gas, and that wasn't good. So, again, 3 total touchdowns on offense, but it could have been a lot more. Kenneth Gainwell, one of the stars of the game today. Big time shout out. There's a couple guys that I called out last week for being non-existent and being bad that really came to play today. Offensively, Kenneth Gainwell, aside from DK Metcalf, is our biggest star of the game today. 19 carries for 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is 5.2 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns. It's probably his best game of his career. I don't know how many 100-yard games he had in Philly. It wasn't a ton. I know he hasn't stood out so far in Pittsburgh, aside from a couple shorter touchdowns, but today was a big game for Gainwell. He was consistent. Jaylen Warren did not play. He came in injured to this game. I didn't realize until this morning that he was hurt. I thought that would give Caleb Johnson a chance to get more carries, and it did, but a little later in the game. But yeah, Gainwell, 5.2 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, 99, one short of a 100-yard game, but he did have 6 catches for 35 yards as our second leading receiver. 35 yards for your second leading receiver is not good. Again, too short of a game for us. But with the 35 yards, Kenneth Gainwell overall then gets 25 touches in this game for 134 yards and 2 scores. So big day for Gainwell. Looked really good staying up on his feet, following his big man blockers. Second half especially, really did a nice job to drain some clock and play old school Steeler football. Just Jerome Bettis style, running the clock, controlling, slow and steady, bursts here and there, finding the hole, being patient to score a couple times. Looked really good. I'm very impressed with Gainwell after a very slow start here in Pittsburgh for the most part. Caleb Johnson did start slow as well, 2 carries for nothing in the first half, and then had a drop on his one pass completion attempt from Rodgers. So very slow start. Did come in the second half. 5 carries for 20 yards in the second half, so 6 for 22 overall, 3.7 a carry. Decent game, decent second half. Started very poorly, found some confidence, found a couple holes. Doesn't look super diverse yet, isn't breaking a ton of tackles yet, but did start to get some opportunities in the second half and didn't do poorly. So it was something to build on. It wasn't quite what you'd hope for with Jaylen Warren being out, but they did show a little faith on a couple drives in the second half, and he wasn't bad, so it's an improvement. So very good Gainwell, a little better for Johnson. Receiving-wise, DK paced us, 5 catches, 126 and a touchdown. First half, he had 4 catches for 122 and a touchdown. Second half, 1 catch for 4 yards. So really should have gone back to him more in the second half. Again, taking your foot off the gas on both sides of the ball. Not very good there. DK with a great game, but I wish he had more. Shout out to Darnell Washington. Had 3 catches in this game, took a couple of those plays that were like 2-yard passes and turned one into a 7-yard gain and one into a 9-yard gain. Just a big guy with a big frame that can bounce off people. On those 2 short plays, he broke like 7 total tackles to get there. So what a nice big target. I think when you get to the red zone, something like that 4th and goal, just toss it up. In the past 2 weeks, he's gotten one 2-point conversion and 1 pass interference in the end zone. So give the guy more opportunities, especially on 3rd and short and goal line opportunities. He makes the most of them. I like what he did today. Offensive line was a plus/minus, more bad than good. Still not a great line, but didn't allow, I don't think, any sacks on Rodgers today. maybe one, but I don't think I saw very many. It might have been one sack. Didn't do too bad, but still early. Rodgers had to run for his life a bit early on, and the running game started a little bit slow. Isaac Seumalo, not a great game. He was the one that gave the sack up, and also had a couple of things in the backfield. He looked like he was struggling today overall. Spencer Anderson, I want to give a positive to. When he came in the second half, he came in as an extra lineman declaring eligible. They started using Hayward, Connor Hayward, as fullback and leaking him out at different fullback spots, using Darnell as a blocking tight end a lot more, and bringing in Spencer Anderson to do a lot of blocking on the end next to Darnell, and that was leading to our biggest run plays. So Spencer Anderson, Darnell was a blocker, and Connor Hayward all made a bit of an impact in that second half. Good to see that personnel there. That being said, especially when Calvin Austin went out, I still have to question why Roman Wilson didn't come in. Ben Skoranek played a lot today and blocked very well. I want to give a shout out to him. He's not really on the stat sheet, but he had a nice special teams tackle and also blocked well on offense. But Scotty Miller came out once Calvin Austin got hurt. Roman Wilson was only seen on the hands team for the onside kick. He only touched the ball because of the onside kick recovery. Didn't get any routes out there. He's so good in preseason, and Rodgers likes him, and he showed such growth in this offseason. Why not give this guy more of a chance, especially if Calvin winds up being out for a game or two? I hope not. But give Roman a shot out there. He's not getting enough playing time. And I understand you're using all these tight ends, but Pat Freiermuth is nowhere to be seen. I mean, Pat's not a blocking tight end, and he's not really out there. I don't see him running many routes. I don't see him getting open. I don't see him getting targets. I don't know. I know it's partially a scheme thing and partially a Pat thing, but I have to give Arthur Smith and Pat Freiermuth a negative mark here because we need to see Pat out there. I don't understand. John is barely involved either, but Pat's not doing anything. Defensively, a lot of splash plays once again, second week in a row, 6 sacks today, 2 interceptions. There was one early turnover. Chuck Clark forced a fumble on Jordan Mason. Jalen Ramsey picked it up and ran back like 60, 70 yards for a touchdown. That was called back because the runner was touching the ball out of bounds, so it was a dead ball. So one turnover got taken away. It would have been a fumble 6 for Jalen Ramsey. But the 2 picks that did stand, one was Deshaun Elliott on a tip ball by Derek Harmon. So Harmon getting involved for the second week in a row. Harmon gets the tip. Deshaun Elliott back healthy again, thank God, gets the pick. Elliott had a big day. TJ Watt also got a tip ball. TJ and Cam both tipped a pass at the line of scrimmage. TJ tipped it to himself, caught it, and ran back for a nice return. So TJ Watt with an interception, Deshaun Elliott with an interception. TJ Watt also got a sack in this game. That is his second straight game with a sack. I think he had 2 last week and then 1 this week. Deshaun Elliott also had a sack and a forced fumble. Sacked the quarterback, punched the ball out. They recovered it still. But so Elliott in his first game back with a sack, forced fumble, and pick. Gigantic help for us today. TJ with the batted ball, interception, and sack today. So 2 big games in a row for him. Keanu Benton, I want to call out. Big day for Keanu. I called him out last week for not being around. I've talked about him being negatively impactful and causing our inside linebackers issues by getting forced back too far. These first 2 games of the season, Keanu Benton, 1.5 sacks today, was in there on 2 sacks, also had a third pressure, was looping around well, was doing some delayed blitzing well, was swimming and getting off the ball. Even a few plays that he didn't directly impact, he was still in the backfield. The best pressure I've seen of him in a long time, maybe ever. 1.5 sacks on the stat sheet, a few QB hits as well. Good day for Benton. Also, Nick Herbig. What a difference maker this guy is. I know we're missing Highsmith. He didn't play today. Herbig got the start. Herbig, man, is every bit as good as Highsmith, man. I know it's hard to say because Highsmith is so underrated as the second guy, but Herbig is playing lights out. I think he had 2 sacks last week, at least 1 for sure, but might have had 2. Has another 1.5 this week. He was in on a lot of key blitzes. Pittsburgh defense getting off the field on 3rd down. Minnesota, up until that 4th quarter, was like 3 for 11 on 3rd down. Pittsburgh getting off the field, getting a lot of pressure, which always leads to batted ball, sacks, and turnovers. Pittsburgh getting pressure is the key in these last 2 weeks on defense to making splash plays. 1.5 sacks again from Herbig. Patrick Queen also gets a sack today, so Pittsburgh gets 6 in total. Queen was an up and down game. Again, he's not the best cover guy, but he has been all over the field. 6 more tackles today. He does have to cover better. The middle of our defense is still wide open. The outside coverage has gotten better. The pressure's gotten a lot better. The run game defense was a lot better today, but the middle of the field offense was wide open. Hawkinson had a couple nice late catches. Naylor had a couple on the inside. Jordan Addison got one on the outside on a blown coverage that almost got a touchdown. We'll talk about that. But Peyton Wilson, I want to give a positive shout out to. I've talked about him. He's very confident in his coverage ability, and he's not very good. He has told different reporters, supposedly, that he is the best coverage linebacker in the NFL. He's not. He's not even in the top 15. He's not in the top half of the league as far as starting linebackers in coverage. That being said, 8 tackles today, and a lot of it was in the run game. He's getting through and making tackles in the run game and stopping on short passes, getting tackles on short passes. Really good day for Wilson. 8 tackles, including tracking down Jordan Addison, who's a speedster, out of Pitt and USC. Jordan Addison on a blown coverage when Corey Trice came in. Not sure who was at fault for the blown coverage, but Addison runs down about 60 yards. Peyton Wilson across field tracks him down as a linebacker, tackles him at the 2, and drains off like a minute and a half off the clock when Minnesota was trying to come back and score. So big plays for Wilson today. Again, the pass coverage is still not great, but the tackling and the pursuit has gotten much better out of him. Cornerback-wise, Jalen Ramsey, I hope he's healthy. Darius Slay seems like he's healthy. He was injured and came back. We have to get our guys back out there on the field. JPJ didn't play again today. We got to get him back. We're heading into a bye week now, so we get a chance to get a lot of these guys back. Now that Elliott's back, that helped a lot. We want to get Jalen Warren back, get JPJ back. A couple other guys in there as well. Highsmith. Special teams-wise, Boswell was 1 for 2. First miss of the season, I believe. He might have missed one other one. One miss here was a block. Minnesota got good timing on a block. Pat wasn't able to block the guy, Freiermuth, and the guy got around and blocked the kick. He had a pick 6 and a fumble 6 last week, this guy that blocked our kick, so he's been amazing. Corliss Waitman, 3 punts for 146 yards. That is a 48.7 yards per punt average. None of the 3 inside the 20, but another solid day for Waitman. So overall, again, offense looks better than last week. Defense still making splash plays and getting more stops, getting more pressure, doing better on third down. Definitely an improvement. That being said, the pass coverage in the middle of the field is still weak. The offense is still too conservative, and Minnesota coming back with 15 straight points in the fourth quarter is not a good thing. So still things to work on. That being said, Pittsburgh escapes Ireland with a victory, goes to 3-1 over Minnesota. Now into their bye week, Pittsburgh's got Cleveland in 2 weeks at home. So what do you guys think? Tell me in the comments down below who stood out to you, who was a positive this week, who was a negative. Tell me in the comments and why. Please like, share, and subscribe these Pittsburgh Steelers Deep Dives if you like them. I'll come back to you guys in 2 weeks with a Steeler video. I might even bring you guys some kind of Steeler Deep Dive in addition to a film review later on next week since Pittsburgh's on a bye. Take care. See you soon.